for you, baby.
Hey, Sun Devils, you're listening to
John C.
Just kidding, it's Blaze Radio.
Here at Blaze Radio, we'll be there for all your music listening needs. Tune in to blazeradioonline.com, broadcasted live from the Bill Austin studio in Phoenix.
Welcome. Welcome everyone back to another edition of The Future is Female. I'm your host, Gabrielle Ducharme, joined as always by my legendary co-host, Nicole Pinter. Nicole, a lot to get into this show. First, got to start off, how you doing?
I'm good. Doing pretty good on this Monday night evening.
I know, I was just saying before the show started, I actually enjoy Mondays now because we get to do our show live from the Bill Austin. It's our second show back after being a year and a half remote, and a lot to rip into. We're going to start off with some WNBA talk, and then, of course, we're going to get into our football conversations like we always need to. Nicole will discuss her teams. This week, I think she's pretty happy in some respects, right?
Yeah, we'll get to what makes both of us actually mad.
Yeah, I got I'm going to be listen up, people. When we get to NCAA college football, I've got some words of wisdom, shall we say, for the Pillsbury Doughboy himself, Chip Kelly of the UCLA Bruins. Before we get into that, though, of course, we got to start off at the top. WNBA basketball. It's the best time of the year to be a basketball fan because it's playoff time, baby. Right here locally in the Valley, the Phoenix Mercury will play this coming week. Sorry, folks. The Phoenix Mercury will play this coming week in the postseason. In their season finale, they fell to the Las Vegas Aces, so they ended up securing the 5 seed in the postseason. Well, they're going to secure, they secured home court advantage that first round, but they're going to be playing against Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty, who, how do I put it? The New York Liberty have almost nothing to lose. Nicole, do you know why they have nothing to lose?
They have not won. I mean, they've won twice since the Olympic break. Yeah. So they're looking for the upset. They're just here to have a good time, really.
Yeah, they're here just to have fun because many things with other teams had to go wrong for the Liberty to make the postseason, folks. The Dallas Wings, the Washington Mystics, I'm sorry, not the Dallas Wings. The Los Angeles Sparks, the Washington Mystics, both had to lose yesterday for the Liberty to get in. That's exactly what happened. Both teams that have better records than the Liberty lost. The absolute worst day of the year to lose. They both lost. They're out of the postseason, and the Liberty snuck in. I saw a quote from Doug Feinberg of the Associated Press. He literally said, he retweeted it, and he just said, wow, with the caption. The quote said, essentially, the Mercury last week were talking about the future. Well, the future can wait for the present, because it's playoff basketball. It's time. And I don't think that encapsulates it more. Even the Liberty were shocked that they even made it into the postseason. I mean, could you believe that? Could you think about it this way, Nicole? If your Chicago Bears only won 2 games of the last 6 of the season, and they still made the postseason, how shocked would you be?
I'd understand that, like, every other team had to suck massively for that to happen.
Right. Like, every other team just had to crumble, basically, in order for it to happen. I was messaging my older sister yesterday. Shout out to Maddie Ducharme. I don't think she's listening right now. Love you, Maddie. But my sister lives in Washington, and so now her and I kind of have a rivalry because I worked for the Sparks this summer, and she was the Mystics. And I told her, I said, one of our teams is making it to the postseason. I said, oh my gosh. She said, oh, I think I'm assuming it was the Sparks. She responded to me this morning. I said, oh no, update. Neither of our teams made it. They both lost. The Liberty made it instead.
Pain.
Pain is an understatement. Pain is right for both of us. Anyways, the New York Liberty will face off against the Phoenix Mercury this week at Footprint Center. Nicole, your thoughts on that? Diana Taurasi versus Sabrina Ionescu.
That'll be a fun one. Yeah. I mean, this is a fun first round matchup. Single elimination, everything on the line, And hopefully we see the best of Phoenix and New York.
It's reminiscent of March Madness.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that you get with it, because it's a single elimination game all the way up until the semifinals. So I think the Mercury are going to win this one just because veteran leadership matters in the postseason. And, unfortunately, the Liberty don't have a lot of veteran leadership. They have what might be the Rookie of the Year on their team in Makila Onyenwere. Shout out, UCLA alum. They have what might arguably be the most improved player in the league with Benijah Laney, who's actually their best player, unlike what a lot of people realize. Benijah Laney is actually the best player on the Mercury. She leads the team in points, rebounds, assists. So, of course, I still think the Mercury are going to pull it out because you got 3 gold medalists in Griner, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Diana Taurasi. There's no beating that in my eyes. So, of course, Mercury, they're going in, they're going into the postseason. It looks like they're struggling a little bit, too. They lost the last 3 games of the season.
But to Connecticut, Seattle, and Vegas, like, all good teams. They
really
sat Brittany Griner in the last game. Like, I just... For the Mercury, they won the season series against New York. I don't think there's a lot to worry about, especially when you have a team that's really, playing with nothing to lose.
Right.
When you're playing against teams like that, you have to be careful. But if Phoenix, they sat a lot of important people, and I think they'll be ready for this, especially after losing the last 3.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They're just tuning up for playoff basketball, right? They have an on and off switch, just like my Los Angeles Lakers attempted to have last year. Unfortunately, when you're not healthy, you can't really turn on the switch. It just stays off. Luckily, the Phoenix Mercury are healthy going into the postseason, despite that Diana Taurasi is, I think, 38 years old now. But age is but a number in this day and age, apparently. Moving on, of course, though, from the Phoenix Mercury to the Chicago Sky. Nicole, your Chicago Sky. They're going into the postseason. They're going to face off against the Dallas Wings. Your thoughts when you hear that Candace Parker has an opportunity to go on a title run with the Chicago Sky?
Yeah, and probably at a lower seed than they expected, I would say, going into the season. It was a rough start. And then the Olympic break, I think things kind of picked back up for them. I mean, before that, too, they kind of got into more of a groove. But, yeah, they're tested. They've won and lost a lot of close games. And I think that really helps them going into this. And also, just having Candace Parker on the court, as you and I discussed at the beginning of the season, is so important. They're obviously, but they're so much better with Candace Parker on the court. It's not even funny. One
of the best examples I can think of is, Candace was injured at the beginning of the season, and Chicago just wasn't playing very well. They played against the Los Angeles Sparks. They played the Sparks for 3 straight games and lost all 3 games. The LA Sparks aren't even in the postseason right now. Candace Parker was out for all 3 of those games against her former team. Once Candace Parker came back, I think at the time Chicago was about 2-6 on the season. Candace Parker comes back, they won 8 straight games. That's the difference that Candace Parker can have on your team. Right? Yeah. That's that right there, just record alone. You win 8-9 straight games, and all of a sudden you're back in the playoff hunt. You're back in the championship game hunt. Speaking of Candace Parker, did you know that she's coming out with a signature shoe on September 23rd with Adidas?
Good for her.
Yeah. It's called Ace. It's called Ace. Complex did an entire release for it in Adidas and everything like that. And it's just, I think it's incredible. I think it's incredible that she's finally getting the recognition she deserves. Not a lot of athletes have signature shoes on the women's side, and so I think it's more than time for it. But yeah, Chicago will face off against Dallas as a 6 seed versus a 7 seed. Once again, a playing game.
Yeah. It'll be close because I think Dallas has been better this season, but as I said, Candace Parker on the court is just such a huge difference. But Dallas is young, they'll be energized, but Chicago has experience. And the players have experience.
Right.
And that almost always wins in the postseason.
Well, and so my question to you, because Dallas is a lot younger of a team, right? Their best player, do you remember Arike Ngumbawale
Of course.
From Notre Dame, the legend herself? So Arike was the All-Star Game MVP. She's essentially an MVP candidate this season. She dominated against the Sparks last night, went off for 24 points, 7 assists, and 4 boards. She's a point guard, by the way. She is the Dallas Wings leader. her and like Satu Sabali are like the Dallas Wings leaders. Girls who have been in the league like 3 years, 2 years, even maybe 1 year, versus the Chicago Sky, who have Candace Parker, been in the league 13 seasons, WNBA champion, WNBA MVP. So once again, it feels like a similar dynamic between Phoenix and the New York Liberty. It's the same thing over here with Dallas and Chicago. The veteran team versus the youngsters that have nothing to lose. You've never been to the postseason before. You've never won anything. There's no expectations. You're 23. You're a kid compared to Candace Parker.
Yeah.
Candace Parker has a 12-year-old at home. Candace Parker is a kid that's half your age. Like, yeah, I don't think Dallas has anything to lose going on the road against Chicago. I really don't. And the Dallas team that I saw yesterday, because I had to watch the game when they played against the Sparks, wow. Arike can shoot. No shock. She had like one play where she was like literally falling out of bounds. And she like banked the three-pointer in off the backboard.
Of course she did.
She was on the baseline. Like, she was on the baseline falling out of bounds and she still knocked it down. Because that's just Arike things, right?
Yeah, that's what she does.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun offensive matchup, shockingly enough. Even though defense wins championships, this one is going to be a really fun offensive matchup. And then the last storyline here, of course, not the wholesome content we want, but the content we need. If you look on Twitter, there's a really cute photo of Sabrina Ionescu, Satu Sabali, and Ruthie Heberb from the University of Oregon. All three of them are going to be in the postseason, and all three of them, just a little over a year ago now, were playing in college together. They all played at the University of Oregon. Satu Sabali now plays for the Dallas Wings. Sabrina plays, obviously, for the New York Liberty. And Ruthie Heberb plays in the Chicago Sky. Satu and Ruthie Heberb will play against each other tomorrow night. I'm sorry, not tomorrow night. On Thursday night in that first round of games. Chicago versus Dallas. I mean, I gotta say, in the Ruthie Heberb versus Satu Sabali matchup, don't make me pick. If you're gonna put gun to my head and I gotta pick who's gonna play better, I'll say Satu, because I think she's got a bigger role on her team. But Nicole, your thoughts on seeing 3 Pac-12 stars playing in the playoffs?
I mean, the Pac-12 has just always been at like the top when it comes to women's basketball. So, yeah, awesome to see, and like it's just back to pack.
Yeah, back the pack, right? A lot of fun stuff to come, of course, with the WNBA postseason, and I can't really get into it, but unfortunately my LA Sparks not in the postseason. They came really close at the end there, but it kind of a heartbreaking way to end the season. They were one possession away from making it, basically. They were down 3 points against Dallas yesterday, 87-84. They had a chance to shoot a three-pointer, and they totally butchered the last play of the game, basically. And Derek Fisher literally said that post-game. He's like, yeah, we just didn't run the play correctly. They didn't even get a shot off that last play of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not. But Dallas did show out in their home finale. Moving on, though, from WNBA basketball to, they're doing it again. Arizona State football, folks. Horrible loss to BYU. Nicole, yeah, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. You want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. So ASU, it was not good. 17 penalties for 132 yards. BYU declined 3 of them. ASU leads the FBS in penalties. Not good. 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions by Daniels. An interception, potential turnover for the Sun Devils by Merlin Robinson was punched out. Beautiful peanut punch, by the way. That is like textbook peanut punch. There's nothing to do but laugh when that happened. And also, I know you've all seen the screenshot. No, he did not step out of bounds. His foot grazed, like, outside. Like, he just didn't step out of bounds. I'm sorry. I wish he did. Regardless, it would be really hard to overturn. Herm Edwards on 98.7 FM said today that ASU got away with penalties the first 2 games of the year, but against a team like BYU, you can't afford those miscues. Quote, we thought the game was going to swing on that interception. If we fix our errors, we'll have a chance to win a football game. That is straight from Herm. Gabby, that is just so... I'm sorry, but that is so cliche. This man is always so cliche with it. he's a great coach. I'm sure he inspires a lot of these kids to go be above and beyond football and whatever they do. But is this really how we're doing it? You're not gonna first two games of the season. Second game was better as far as penalties. Did you address it? Were those even addressed? It doesn't feel like it. I'm so glad we hired a coach based on a cool quote 20 years ago, because he has done zip for this team this season and last season, to be quite honest. It has been the same thing. It has been cliche. This team is undisciplined and just doesn't seem like they want to win. I hate to be that harsh, but after a loss like that, I don't have a choice. This is infuriating.
The quote shouldn't be "you play to win the game." The quote should be "you play to lose the game," right? Because that's what they're doing right now. They shouldn't have lost the game this weekend. BYU did not lose this football game. BYU did not win this football game. Arizona State lost the football game because they shot themselves in the foot. You make a great point. What has Herm Edwards done now this is his 4th season at the helm of Arizona State football. They have world-class facilities. They have every professional coach known to mankind that Herm has brought in and recruited in. And you're going up to Provo, Utah and losing to BYU? Really? Really? You're not even in Pac-12 play yet, and you're making mistakes that are it's telling your fans, it's telling your media members, we have no interest whatsoever in going to the Rose Bowl. Despite that, we have a roster, a quarterback, and a coaching staff more than equipped to get us there. We don't want to go to the Rose Bowl. That's what it feels like to me, at least.
Yeah, because it's really sucks to see this talent go to waste like this, because they are just. It's infuriating. And this is a tweet from Brad Denny, 3TV, CBS 5. Quote, at the height of Vontez Burfitt, I'm sorry, I never say that right, Erickson penalty era, my God. ASU averaged 8.4 penalties and 78.3 yards per game. It is early, but the Devils are currently averaging 12 penalties and 106 yards through 3 games. This is just undisciplined, unfocused. Where is it at this level? That is coaching. I'm sorry. Yes, the players have to execute on some level, but right now, this is coaching as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to see any of these coaches back if nothing, because it doesn't feel like anything's going to change. They're going to probably, they might lose to Colorado, but if they beat them, everyone's just going to be like, oh yeah, back to normal. This can be fixed. But I don't think this is a coaching staff ASU should be moving forward with if they have higher hopes.
Well, here's the other issue, I think, is that they have, that whole thing of a scandal breathing down their necks. And whether or not they win this season, none of it could matter by the time whenever those shall we say, those penalties come down, whenever that happens, because we have no idea. But because you have a scandal breathing down your neck, you have all the more pressure to prove that it was worth it. You better be winning football games if you're going to break every COVID-19 protocol in the book and completely shut down your program for essentially almost 700 days. Because that's what really happened when COVID hit the team last year, right around October of last year, all the way up until the U of A game. They were essentially shut down. So if you're Herm Edwards and your staff, I would be having private conversations right now saying, y'all, we're about to be on the hot seat, not just because we're losing to teams in fashions that we shouldn't be losing, but we have the NCAA breathing down our necks.
Yeah.
There's no way, right? There's no way anybody's going to put up with you going 7-5 while also breaking every major NCAA protocol in the throes of a global pandemic. There's no way. I mean, would you put up with that?
No, I mean, if you're not a winning coach, and you have NCAA sanctions, you're not being kept. I'll be real. ASU is not the only team doing what they were doing. Let's be honest. We know that.
Oh, absolutely.
But they were the stupid ones that got caught. They're the one that are going to get the harshest penalties. And here's the thing about if these wins are vacated. I hope we would have a championship vacated. I want a championship from the Herm Edwards era vacated, because that means we did something that was worthy of taking away. Right now, we don't have that. Nothing. What do we... Sun Bowl championship. Yay.
Apparently. Sun Bowl championship.
Sorry. I'm sorry I'm so harsh, but man, this is frustrating. That was one of the most frustrating ASU games I've watched, and we have watched them blow it to San Diego State our freshman year.
Yeah.
On the trashiest targeting call I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Once again,
you know what
penalties.
I'm talking about.
Once again, penalties, right?
Well, that was on San Diego State. They benefited from that. That lost to San Diego State, a sophomore year, beating a ranked Michigan State team and losing to Colorado the following weekend.
Yeah.
Which is like, that feels like what ASU does. They go on the road, or it's at home. They beat a ranked opponent, huge win, and then they lose the following week. Well, we had the ranked opponent, and we still might lose the following week, even though we lost to BYU. Like, it's the narrative ASU football has always had. They always do this since we've been here. I didn't follow ASU football before coming to school here.
Right.
But since we've been here, that's kind of been their thing. It's having a really big win and losing the following week to an unranked team that will probably go 5-7.
And which coaching staff has been in place since we started college?
Herm Edwards, so.
Exactly. So I think especially if they lose this weekend, then yes, people are going to start calling for Herm's head, especially because of what his coaching staff has caused in that program. Whether they win this season or lose, there are far more dark days ahead for this program than there are bright days. Just because even though you have a quarterback that could potentially be a first-round draft pick, that doesn't matter. Because you don't know how to win football games, even with him. Can you imagine what it'll be like after he leaves? And after you've possibly lost scholarships, championships, victories, whatever the NCAA is actually going to push upon you? And I don't see it getting any better from here. And you're blaming it on fix our errors and penalties.
Yeah, like he like, not that Herm has never been the guy to say like, hey, that's on me. He has, but then he doesn't do anything about it. Like I'm not saying that they're all, the players committing penalties is always on Herm Edwards, but like I said, at the college level, that typically is. Like these are typically coaching type things when they happen to players. And yeah, like I will excuse a couple of them of like, yeah, just the player just wasn't in the right mind space and at that moment. That's fine, but like, why? What's going on? What's the lapse here?
Yeah, have the players not been in the right mindset for the last 6 weeks? Because it feels like penalty issues need to be ironed out in like the first month of training camp, unless I'm wrong on that one.
Well, and even after the first game, you'd think it'd be like, okay, first game, get away with it, it's fine. Second game was a little bit better, so you come into this game thinking, okay, ranked opponent. They are going to be on it. They are going to be on it at every level, and they're going to be ready to play. They're going to be the most focused team they've been all season. Like, this is where it starts. They got away with it the past 2 weeks. Now it really picks up speed. And it didn't, in the slightest. It's just frustrating.
Frustration, on behalf of Arizona State. I guess kudos to BYU for taking advantage.
Yeah, I don't think they're a bad team.
I don't think they are either.
I don't think they're good, but I don't think they're bad.
They're a top 25 opponent right now, and they may as well be a Pac-12 school because almost their entire schedule is against Pac-12 teams.
Well, they've beaten the entire Pac-12 South so far. Like, you know what? BYU and San Diego State, why haven't we just invited them to the Pac-12 yet? Because I think that would be our Pac-12 championship. And then maybe Oregon in there. But, why have we not invited either team? Well, now BYU is going to, the Big 12? But, yeah, BYU beat Arizona, beat Utah, beat ASU.
Nice.
They are currently leaders of the Pac-12 South. San Diego State, close second. BYU just has one more win over them. So,
at least...
let me fact check that real quick. San Diego State... football.
Hey, Nicole, at least we can take solitude in knowing that the school down south hasn't won a football game in 700 days. For us, it's only been 2 days.
Yeah, U of A losing streak extended to 15 or 16, I believe. Lost to NAU for the first time in 90 years, since 1932.
Yeah, the battle of North and South.
And we can't even enjoy it. We can't even enjoy their pain because we are suffering our own. Oh my God.
I guess it's
ASU, can't we enjoy nice things, ASU? Can we just enjoy nice things like U of A being a terrible football program?
Apparently not, because we're also a mediocre at best football program. If we're looking at a Thanksgiving meal, Arizona State football, like if BYU right now is the turkey, they are the main course, they are the thing that's dominating everything else, because BYU's literally
Pac-12 South. Yeah.
literally beating the entire Pac-12 South. Arizona State, I would say, is like
this is about to be a controversial Thanksgiving opinion.
I would say Arizona State is like the gravy after like a week. I don't love it at that point.
Not as controversial. Okay.
I don't love it at that point, but I don't hate it. I'll still put it on my leftover turkey dinner. The University of Arizona, for me personally, it's the cranberry sauce. I don't like cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna make a lot of people mad with that one.
I know. For me, they're the cranberry sauce. Or they're the salad. Don't make me eat salad on Thanksgiving. I'm just going all yellow and white food. Thank you very much. That's U of A. But the gravy is so soiled right now. I can't even enjoy the fact that the cranberry sauce tastes like you know what. Because the gravy has gone bad. And
I appreciate this analogy. We're in September. And I guess tis the season, but, like, I appreciate this analogy. I will end Pac-12 football on this note. USC was the only Pac-12 South team to win this week, just as we all predicted.
Screw my life.
They're going to win the Pac-12 South, and we're all going to hate our lives and wish they sold Clay Helton. Because of course. And we'll get to UCLA later.
Gabby hates her life a lot right now. Moving on, though, from football
volleyball
to volleyball. Volleyball, anyone?
Are you okay?
Did y'all get that reference? It's been a long day. Did you get that reference?
Anyways, ASU lost in volleyball in 5 sets to UNLV. Normally we wouldn't talk other ASU sports, so this is really quick, but I promise you we will get to more ASU sports eventually.
Yeah.
This is because both of us were there. Gabby was working the stream, and she was upset she couldn't go home early. I left after the 3rd set, but ASU lost the first 2 sets, came back to win the 3rd set thrillingly, and to force a deciding 5th set. I'll just comment on what I saw while I was there. It just felt like the energy wasn't there for ASU. We might be bad. I'm not sure, but I mean the Pac-12 is a juggernaut, so it's kind of hard to say. But like, it felt like just UNLV had a little bit more energy. It felt like they wanted it a little bit more. All the 50-50 were going their way. There were thanks to Jack Bola-Morris, I know there were some terrible calls. If you have questions about volleyball, Jack Bola-Morris is your person because they know everything. He knows literally everything. Yeah, apparently there were some terrible calls that I don't fully understand. Some missed calls. Just not good.
Yeah.
Comments?
Yeah, I guess a little bit of frustration because, like, I would have loved to see the comeback and then see Arizona State win. But if it's going to be the same result an hour later, come on, man. I guess that's what frustrates me about the sport of volleyball. There's like it could either go an hour or it could go 2 hours. At least in the sport of football, there's 4 quarters, and they're like all 15 minutes each, or 12 minutes each, whatever level you're playing at. In the sport of basketball, it's the same thing. Maybe it's 2 halves, 40 minutes each. Maybe you have an overtime. But volleyball, oh man. From what I understand about ASU, they're like a good team, but they're just in literally the best conference in the nation.
Yeah.
Pac-12 volleyball, especially on the women's side, best in the country. UCLA, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, USC, every single one of them dominates. They're just like a quadrant of schools that literally exchanges national titles every single year. Like UCLA, I think, won it in 2019. Stanford won it in like 2018. And then Cal Berkeley made it to like the national championship game against USC in like 2016. So those 4 schools just dominate the field, basically. It was still a fun game. I mean, shout out Stream Team, shout out Mark Rita. I mean, that you just can't not have fun when you're doing it for something like that, when you're doing the Pac-12. Yeah. And it's fun as well to see, like, the people who are super passionate about volleyball, like, broadcasting and stuff. And so, yeah, it was, I mean, I thought it was a really fun experience. I thought it was a really fun game. Just, of course, wish that the result had been worth the extra time spent there on my behalf.
But great fight by the Sun Devils. Great fight. No, they always have that. I know this isn't the first game of the season. This is the first time you and I were both there. We'll be at more, but great fight by the Sun Devils. I don't want that to go by the wayside. Exactly.
And so we're going to transition here into a break, guys. Nicole, Pinter, Gabby, Ducharme, the future is female. We'll be right back right after this. We're going to be talking some college football when we return.
Hey you, yes you, are you bullied because you have obscure random taste in Asian pop music? Maybe you like Bollywood a bit too much. Maybe you like K-pop and everyone thinks you're weird. Maybe you like Japanese music and anime intros and everyone wants to stay 100 feet away from you. But regardless, there's a station for that right here on Blaze Radio and BlazeRadioOnline.com. Join us every Monday at 3 p.m. with your host Rith, that's me, to discuss the latest in pop music happening all across Asia. Whether it's Bollywood music, Indian R&B, Japanese music, Korean music, Chinese music, heck, even Thai and Vietnamese music. We all got it here at Pop 48 on Blaze Radio, BlazeRadioOnline.com. No longer will you have to be ashamed of your random obscure taste in Asian music that none of your friends know about. Now, they'll be the losers because you know way more than them.
And just like that, we're back. The future is female. Welcome in, everyone. Gabby Ducharme, joined as always by my legendary co-host Nicole Pinter. Let's transition into some college football. Nicole, of course, we do it every week. What's going on with your Michigan Wolverines?
Good things, all good things. We're good again. We're winning the national championship. Paula Bovin, if you're somehow listening to this, please, I will give you whatever you want. To just the first ranking, no matter what Michigan's record is, just put them in the top 4. I will give you an obscene amount of money, and whatever you want. But that might not be a hard decision for Paula, because Michigan, looking really good, jumped up in the rankings. Blake Corum rushes for 3 touchdowns, and it's a 63-10 win over Northern Illinois. I know it's just Maction, and I love me some Maction, but they've looked really good in these wins. Like, it feels different. And I probably say that every year, but this year is different. You know why?
She's been saying this since second semester freshman year, guys.
Anyways, because Jim Harbaugh is back. He's not wearing the khakis, which is kind of weird, but I think he's back because like everyone else on his staff is. He's saying weird things, weird quotes. As I said last week with the Neil Armstrong thing about like doing it by land or air, and he's like, yeah, we're winning, so who cares? Like
love you, Jimbo.
He's saying weird things again. So Harbaugh is back. Caden McNamara had a beautiful 87-yard touchdown pass to Cornelius Johnson. I say this because again, like Michigan football and like quarterbacks throwing beyond 10 yards I'm always gonna gush over it because I have not seen it that often in my life. So every time Caden McNamara or J.J. McCarthy throw a pass over 20 yards, I will talk about it. Just expect it. I will talk about it because I have not seen this since I was 7. So this is fantastic. I'm having such a good time right now. Michigan plays Rutgers to open the Big Ten play this Saturday. Should be another like kind of simple, easy game before the real fun starts with Wisconsin. Rocky Lombardi is bad. He was the Michigan State quarterback last year in that horrifying game against Michigan State that Michigan had last year. He transferred to Northern Illinois, back in the big house, and he's bad. He's bad. I told you he was bad, and we just made him look good. We didn't make him look like a Heisman candidate this year. I just wanted to point that out because Don Brown's coverage putting his man on islands did not work, and now Rocky Lombardi looks like the quarterback he truly is. Thank you. I don't miss you, Don Brown. You Arizona staff, by the way, Don Brown. You Arizona defensive coordinator, Don Brown, who just lost to NAU. Can you... I don't know if I said this on the show, but I was, like, significantly more happy to see Don Brown go than if they were to fire Jim Harbaugh. I want to make that abundantly clear. I was like, if one has to go, I want it to be Don Brown. Because Harbaugh's been fine. I just think expectations for Michigan are always too high. But with that being said, we're winning the national championship.
Paula, if you're listening, you heard it here, not first. Michigan is winning the national title.
I'm keeping my expectations tempered, but I think we're going to do it this year.
You would sell a kidney on the black market tomorrow if it meant your team could get into the top 4 in the middle of January.
Sounds painful, but sure. Anyways, you want to talk about your Bruins? I don't have anything to complain about this week other than ASU sports. This is fantastic. Why isn't it like this every week? I do have some things to complain about the Bears, a little bit, but your Bruins lost a fun one.
Oh, Lord. Okay, Nicole did this last week. Just give me a second. Trash.
Is this what I did last week?
Trash lost to Fresno State, 40-37. UCLA ranked in the top 15.
I remember saying those words.
No, you didn't say those words. You put your arms, though, on the desk. You breathed in hard. You said, and then you started ranting about the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
So
I was confused.
Yeah,
Go
so
on.
the action that I took just now in the studio. So trash loss to Fresno State. Where was the defense? 600 yards, essentially, of offense on Fresno State's behalf. 569 yards. UCLA, 400 yards. Can somebody please protect Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Despite his terrible offensive line, he was sacked, I think he was sacked 3 times on the night. 14 of 24, 278 yards, 3 touchdown passes. DTR showed up, but you got to protect your quarterback, UCLA. Tooknee Nguyen of the LA Times. I got to know Tooknee this summer. Shout out, girl. You're awesome. She covered the LA Sparks a little bit, but she also covers UCLA football. She says, and I quote, "After losing 4 games by a combined 15 points last year, UCLA had a simple mantra for this hopeful season. Finish. On Saturday night, in a familiar refrain from 2020, it was Fresno State that finished the Bruins."
That's some good writing.
You can't sum it up any better than that. Thank you, Tooknee, for stating in the most eloquent way possible, trash loss to Fresno State. Thank you. Because you got to shore up your offensive line if you're UCLA. They have some really good tight end play that those kids can block, they can run, they can catch big passes from that gauntlet arm that DTR has on his body. But if Chip Kelly wants to make this season work, I think he's in a position a lot like Herm Edwards. It is time. Either you do it or you don't do it. Either you are contending for Rose Bowl championships and for conference titles, or you're not. There's no this mushy in the middle place that UCLA football has been in every single season since I can remember. I'm talking 2006, 2007. I'm talking there was one year I remember where the team looked really, really good. Like 2012. Anthony Barr. Even when Josh Rosen was playing on the team, we weren't that good. Brett Huntley. I still remember the day Anthony Barr ran over Matt Barkley in the USC-UCLA game. It was one of the best moments of my life. We're not running over anyone right now. A week ago, I thought UCLA, I was like you. Not that we're going to the national title game, but oh my gosh, we might win the Pac-12 South. Holy crap, we are number 13 in the country. We just beat an SEC school. A week later, we're beating a mid-major school stuck in mush middle of nowhere, California. You ever been to Fresno, California before, Nicole?
No.
No, it's not a very nice. It's nice. I shouldn't rag on Fresno. It's nice, but it's not LA. Fresno is that place that you stop at when you're going between LA and San Francisco. It is not the place that beats UCLA in a primetime game on Saturday football. To quote Tooknee, it was Fresno State that finished the Bruins, and UCLA is about to finish me because I just can't handle it any longer. So, UCLA, going into Pac-12 play, you've got some work to do. Because you're going to face off against my Arizona State Sun Devils in like 2 weeks. ASU will be at the Rose Bowl. And at that point, if you are not 4-1 on your season, well, we're still going to have some major issues.
Well, their next game's Stanford, so they should win.
Yeah,
and
they
then
should.
It's us.
They should. So they should be, if all goes according to plan, they should be 3-1 on their season. Against Arizona State, we'll see, because I think both programs are kind of in a similar state right now, unfortunately. So, I'm worried. I'm worried because, as Tukney states, it was the mid-major that finished the winningest school in NCAA history on Saturday.
It's actually Michigan, but yeah.
The winningest school in general in NCAA history is UCLA.
I thought we were talking football. I was gonna say that's Michigan.
No, football UCLA is not at that level.
Okay, I was
Overall, though, UCLA is at that level.
I mean, here's the slight good thing about UCLA, is that like I said, the Pac-12 South is wide open now. Nothing changed after this weekend. Like, nothing changed. UCLA and ASU still have what should be a Pac-12 deciding game in 2 weeks. So nothing's changed. I mean, USC might all of a sudden have something to say about it again, but yeah, nothing changed in the Pac-12 South this weekend, basically, in summary.
Which I think is a good thing. I think it's a very good thing, but I'm still worried. Right, I'm still worried that the quarterback that we have, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the best quarterback this program has had since Brett Hundley. Brett Hundley was at the school about a decade ago. We're talking like 2013. He's better than Josh Rosen was too. Like, when Rosen was in college, Rosen was a stud. But I have qualms that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be even better than Josh Rosen was, like, at the professional level. In terms of maturity, leadership, everything like that, I mean, it doesn't compare. So, like, if you can't capitalize when you have him, it's a very similar message to that of ASU with Jaden Daniels. The only difference is Arizona State has a NCAA, penalties that they might be facing, and UCLA hasn't had that yet. Like, we don't know what they were doing during COVID, but might be safe to assume many schools in the Pac-12 were probably breaking some kind of COVID protocol at some point. But I think that's just what worries me. Like, if you can't do it against a mid-major, what are you going to do when USC comes to town? What are you going to do when you can't protect your quarterback against Oregon, against, even Colorado, Washington State, these bigger Pac-12 schools that have every resource in the world available to them the same way you do? You got to take care of business when the business matters almost like the least. Like, I felt like they overlooked Fresno State because they're like, well, we beat LSU, so we're good. We're in the clear. You're not in the clear for anything right now. You're not winning anything right now. I think this was one of the pitfalls of Chip Kelly's time at UCLA this weekend. Giving up almost 600 yards worth of offense to a mid-major team that is not going to go on to win a national title the week after you beat one of the best programs in the entire nation. That's how you follow it up. I think it's a classic case of what people will refer to it most of the time as championship hangover, but I'm just going to refer to it as like game day hangover, basically. You were hungover from last week, you overlooked your opponent, your defense played like absolute doo-doo, and your offensive line couldn't protect your star quarterback. What are you going to do? I'll tell you what they should be doing. Protect your quarterback this week against Stanford, and then come talk to me next Monday for how I'm feeling. Moving on from Pac-12 football college level, we're going to go on to the pros. Nicole, we do it every week. Bears Corner, how we feeling this week?
Bears Corner is fun this week. For the most part. Justin Fields got in the game. Oh my God, I love him so much. Justin Fields played. I understand it was because Dalton went down. I hope he's okay. Andy Dalton has a bone bruise on his knee. Typically, that's like a couple weeks of not playing. So it will be kind of interesting to see. Matt Nagy said this Monday morning that Dalton, when healthy, is a starter, which, listen, I get it. I do. But it's still no less infuriating. Like, I get how he has to kind of hang on to this, but, like, it is no less infuriating when it's Justin Fields is just clearly better. Like, Dalton moved pretty well. when the pocket collapsed this past Sunday, but like Fields is just, he had some beautiful throws, which to this I say, would someone please catch a pass that Justin Fields throws their way? Allen Robinson dropped one right through the hands that would have been his first passing touchdown in the pros. He was like 6 of 13, but like 5 of those were just off wide receiver hands. So like, come on, does someone catch a pass from Justin Fields? He's so good, you guys. I love him. I'm so glad he was in. I will continue to gush about him. No, I don't care where he went to college. That is not important. But Bears defense is back.
Just for clarity here, where did he go to school?
Some school in Ohio. I'm not sure.
He went to the University of Ohio.
So I said some school in Ohio.
Yeah. So he went to the University of Ohio?
No, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Did he wait? But did he go to the University of Akron?
Bears defense is back, Gabby.
Did he go to No. Did he go to the I Promise school? Was he one of LeBron James's kids at the I Promise school in Akron, Ohio?
Something feels off about that, but no. It's okay. Just don't show me his college highlights before he goes up to play. Just please don't. Just don't do that to me. That's painful. Just show the Clemson ones. Those are fun.
Did he go to the Ohio State University?
It's just that school down south. I don't know its name.
Oh, he went to.
Okay,
he went to St. Vincent St. Mary.
This bit's over. Anyways, Bears defense is back. They were really good. Intercepted Joe Burrow on 3 straight passes. One of them was a Roquan Smith pick 6. But in true Bears fashion, the offense couldn't do anything with it. So the Bengals got back in the end. It was close, but they held on 20-17 over Cincinnati. It was going so well, I almost forgot. We still don't have a secondary. So we let Jamar Chase get like wide open and then proceed to not tackle him because he figured out how to catch a ball, Gabby. He figured out you don't need the white stripe. He's figured that out. So he's good. I think that was a shock for him. I think he's gotten over it. So nothing really to complain about. I can't even complain about Matt Nagy's play calling. It was fine. It wasn't that bad. I almost am concerned it wasn't him.
Your expectations for Matt Nagy at this point are halfway to China.
They're
not even at the bottom of they're not even on the floor. They're just like straight through the floor.
They are to the core of the earth.
So if we can get back up to land.
Yeah, well,
then,
I mean, just to one. I don't remember the cores. Just like the one of the cores of the Earth that's closer to land or something like that.
This comparison analogy is going very well for you. I can tell.
Thank you. This is a science lesson now. I don't remember the cores of the Earth. Do you?
No, and I took geology this summer, and I don't remember anything from it.
That was elementary school stuff. But yeah, not much to complain about on my end. I mean, Matt Nagy, like. Yeah, he still frustrates me, but, like, again, it was a good win. I had fun. The Bears' defense was back. Justin Fields got to play. I will complain about Matt Nagy another day. Elsewhere in the NFL, Trevor Lawrence, I know you wanted to talk about this, Gabby.
I think people are being really hard on the rookie QB because of how good he was at the college and at the high school level. He was so good at that level. He is now he's on like a 2-game losing streak to start off his NFL career. He's lost his first 2 games. It is like the literal longest losing streak he's been on, I think, in his entire life.
I don't think he's ever had a losing streak.
He's never had a losing streak before. Because he's never he hasn't lost. I don't think he's lost a regular season football game before he came to the NFL since before he was in high school. He started high school in like 2014, y'all. It is now 2021. He's the same age as me and Nicole. And here's the thing. This past weekend against Denver, he threw for 118 yards, only 1 passing touchdown. His QBR was only 30.5. It was absolute garbage, right? That is absolute garbage. Pull him from the game, get him out of there. But I think people need to stop being so hard on him. He's a rookie. He won at every single level, followed everybody else's expectations to this point. I think the reason why I want to talk Trevor Lawrence is because just like the mindset of the athlete in general, if you are so good at what you do for so long, people forget that you're human and that you're going to mess up. And I think I also kind of want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. Are people being too hard on Trevor Lawrence this early on?
The thing is, yes, but I haven't really seen that. I think it's more like, I think the problem with the Jaguars is Urban Meyer. Like, he just, the transition from college to NFL has so seldom worked, if at all. I mean, we've seen your guy Chip Kelly have a crack at it with the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Saban gave it a shot with the Miami Dolphins and came straight back. And it's just, it doesn't work because it's not the same. Because what those, okay, not really Chip Kelly, but like what Saban and Urban did so well was recruit. And then you get to be like somewhat of a father figure to those guys in a way. Like because they're away from their families. You kind of get to boss them around in a way. You don't do that in the NFL. No. That doesn't happen. You A, don't recruit unless you consider free agency. And B, like it's just a different environment. It's just a completely different environment. These guys go to homes to their families, you know? They're not on campus. They're not in the facilities at all times. You don't necessarily know their whereabouts all the time.
Right.
And I think that was a really big thing for most college coaches, really. And Urban isn't an exception. And I don't think he's having a good time. I don't. And I think anything, and I know I'm on Urban, not Trevor, but like, to finish up with Urban, like the Jaguars' problem is Urban's problem because it hasn't been good. Nothing's looked good.
Right.
They're not using their star running back in James Robinson, which also hurts me because I have him in fantasy.
Yikes.
It's not looking good. They already put out a note of saying like, oh, stick with us. And it hasn't been that far into the season. We're 2 games into the season. They had to put out that note. Like, that's bad. The last thing I'll say on Trevor Lawrence is, have you seen some of the throws he's made? Oh my God, they're amazing. I think he's still a star. It's just the team and Urban, really.
Yeah, like he has a cannon for an arm. He has, like, when you look at him, you're like, quarterback. Star quarterback right there. You look at him and you think of Andrew Luck. You think of Ben Roethlisberger. You think of Tom Brady. You think of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this football game. And in many ways, he is more naturally gifted than all of those guys. Every single one of them.
He's so good.
So I struggle. I struggle with the expectations that he has on his shoulders. And I want to continue this conversation throughout the season because I think it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. How conversations around Trevor Lawrence adapt and continue on. Moving on to our finale for our show, Future Fantasies. Nicole, I'm going to let you go first because I think yours is just so incredible. What is your future fantasy for this week?
Yeah, to finish off, USA Gymnastics and the FBI will be held accountable for turning a blind eye to everyone affected by Larry Nassar and just everything these girls had to go through. Simone Biles, Michaela Maroney, Allie Raisman, and others won't have to keep testifying to Congress and reliving their trauma just for someone to hear them and just for these people to be held accountable. Listen to women.
Say it again.
Listen to women. Please. It is the bare minimum to care about other people. Bare minimum.
Yeah. 150% agree with that. Mine is the NIL rules that went into effect on July 1 will help equal the playing field between men's and women's sports in NCAA athletics. And with that, we're going to leave off on, of course, Nicole's sentiment, listen to women. We are 2 very powerful young women on The Future is Female. For Nicole Pinter, I'm Gabby Ducharme. We'll see you all next week on Blaze Radio, blazeradioonline.com.
Stepped out of my zone. I had to get out alone and figure it out on my own. And I know what I really want now. Can't stop me, can't break me. But don't kill me, go make me. Shoot for the stars, don't save me. And now I see clear in HD. Gotta go hard, I ain't got time to wait.